Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now celebrating 17 years of broadcasting success, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, both for our radio audience and those tuning in online. We're glad you all could be with us as well. I'm really excited to welcome Aaron Dalla Villa to our program today. Aaron's an individual who's been able to do what he loves as an actor as well as an artist. We'll talk to him about that journey. But 2020 has been a great year for Aaron, as it has been for a lot of us, even though we're dealing with the chaos that's been happening. We'll talk to him about how he's been able to make the most of this year with his acting, also being able to share his love of voiceover, and even his tips for life as well through YouTube. If you guys are not following Aaron, of course, we'll let you know how to stay connected with him and all the great things that's going on with him. But Aaron, thank you so much for the time today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
The pleasure's definitely all mine. So, Aaron, let's talk about the journey for you. Normally I start off talking about the journey of life. I want to talk about the journey of this year because I noticed when I was prepping for this, from the very beginning, literally beginning in January, you've been sharing a lot with your audience, sharing a lot of your work, whether we're talking about music. I mentioned voiceover, of course, your acting, being able to bring characters to life, but also your inspirational posts as well. What has it been like for you to kind of stay consistent this year, even with all the other craziness that's going on?
You know, this time has really made me buckle down and say, a lot's happening in the world. What can I do to help people during this time? And it's really forced me to kind of put myself to a schedule so that I can maintain that consistency, because that consistency is everything. Right. You know, if things are random, people won't know what to accept, won't know what to expect. So I do this thing now where I'm setting up these consistency, posting on YouTube, posting on Instagram, and I just created something called Live at 5 on Sunday where I connect directly via IG Live with my fans and followers, and they loved it. I was only supposed to go for an hour. We ended up going for 3 hours. They kept being like, no, I want to do it again, and that was a huge hit. And we were actually able to talk about things that were really important as well, such as this young girl was being bullied by her friends and stuff. So I was able to provide some advice of my experiences of being bullied growing up and stuff. So I think the name of the game I'm really starting to determine is I'm put on this earth to help people through my work.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's such a cool thing. Now, I've never met you, Aaron, but I've learned a lot about you even through just prepping for this segment, and mainly, I think, with your vlog that you started. So I want to talk to you about what inspired that. But there is one particular vlog that I thought was really interesting where you kind of shared a bit of your story, and sounding, based on what you just said, it sounds like this is something that's just been a part of you. You talked about, of course, for you, dancing was a big thing, but then, after a setback with that, acting then became the thing. Do you think you're just one of those people, Aaron, that is not going to put up with failure, that if one thing does not work out, you're going to find that next thing to be able to do, to be able to find that purpose for yourself?
Absolutely. Great question. I believe that failure is a dress rehearsal for success. You just have to keep reinventing yourself and adjusting to your environments. We all had to adjust to COVID, for example. And the industry shut down with, on-camera TV and film. So I said I had to lean more into voiceover. I had to be creative. So I started creating music, and I started putting out this kind of work. So, yes, one failure leads to your next success.
Yeah. And to that point that you just made about the voiceover, I referenced before we went on here, one of the posts you made on Instagram as you were kind of going throughout the first few months of this year is, about, sharing your voice. So I want to talk about that in an artistic way for a second, Aaron, because I think a lot of us struggle because we are kind of told that you're supposed to be the next X, Y, or Z, the next person that's already out there. How did you find the comfort level to just be the best you that you could be?
Oh, man. I think it's an age thing for me. Because, I was always trying to please other people growing up, and do they love me? Am I enough? And I think as you just get older, you start to let go of that stuff, and you realize that all of that really doesn't matter. And things are much more simpler than you think they are. So I think it's an age thing that's allowed me to build that courage, and also rejection. People look at the amount of jobs I have now, but I can't even tell you the amount of auditions I've gone on that I did not get the part, and some big ones that, really crushed me, but you just have to keep going. And that has kind of fortified this, I'm just going to keep going no matter what and be confident in my abilities no matter what.
Yeah. And that then has afforded you a career, at least in front of the camera, Aaron, of being able to play a variety of different roles, right? Whether we're talking about, the more humorous ones, the more serious roles, as we've been able to see as well. Is that also part of the fun for you, that you're not kind of put into a box? You're kind of able to let your creativity kind of flow from role to role?
That's a great point. I was so worried that after the 2 horror movies that I have on Hulu that I was going to be typed into just a horror actor, and I didn't want that. But then all of a sudden these other roles started popping up, and I have 3 films about to come out which are not horror at all, which are mainstream. One's a comedy, one's a, this, and one's a sort of narrative doc. I mean, I'm so pumped that I haven't been typecast in that sense. And because I do want to be one of those actors who gets to a point and says, yeah, I'm not really feeling this one. Let's go do this one over here. And I want to be able to create, I'm already creating my own work, but on a larger scale, be an executive producer as opposed to just an actor in the process. Yeah. And I think there's a great lesson in that, Aaron, for all of us, right? I mean, to not allow ourselves to be put in the box. And I think even if that means that we have to make those tough decisions, right? I mean, I think that's the beauty of life. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome Aaron Dalla Villa to our program today. We're talking to Aaron not only about his love of creating, not just in acting, but also in music, but what it's been like for him to share that with all of us and to see the response. We've been talking about several facets that he's been doing just this year. One of them I want to go back to, I mentioned earlier about sharing your voice, is the music and the response you've gotten to that. Talk to us about that. I mean, could you have imagined, though, I mean, as horrible as the effects of the virus has been and the pandemic has been to this country and the world, for you to be able to be a part of a project like what's on the Black Lives Matter playlist has to be an amazing achievement. Could you have imagined that going into this year, Aaron, that you would be able to share your music that way? Not at all. And I will have to say about that fear thing and getting over and finding our voice, I have written some of these raps in my room 4 years ago, literally just in my computer. I have tons of lyrics written in my computer that I have not shared with the world. I was afraid of persecution, afraid of what people would say. People would say I don't sound good, my flow isn't good, and yada, yada, yada. And it got to a point where it said, this year, I have to find a way to keep moving forward. So I said, well, what can I do? Well, I was in this boy band for 2 years, basically, that recently fell apart. How can I use that experience and what I developed, that craft, to in my modern day life and continue using that skill? I will make this music. I will make it happen. And then I just set my mind on putting out this music, and the response has been overwhelming. Like, literally, the response has been great. People have been loving the songs, and I've got several songs on the way as well. Collaborations with my next collaboration is with Paul Anthony of Full Force. They were in the 80s with Lisa and Cold Jam. They worked with a lot of big-name artists and stuff, and we have a really great song that's coming up next. And I would have never imagined, that I'd be where I am now because of that decision when COVID hit earlier this year. But I'm just telling you, one step leads to another, and I inspire and motivate people to do that. If you have an idea, act on it. Do not delay. Yeah. And that brings up another interesting point. I'm going to get into the vlog here in a moment, Aaron, as we wrap up. But I want to talk about what you just said and what you're doing, because
I think, and I hear this a lot on this program and other platforms that I'm on, that, a lot of times when people think about the celebrity life or entertainment or, Hollywood, they don't think about real. I mean, you have been able to share the real and share it not only in like music, but also in the platforms that you're on. Was that a conscious decision you made that you were not just going to share what television and film you were on, or or that kind of thing? Was it a conscious decision for you to really share who you were when it comes to social media and with your audience?
Yeah, I'll tell you what it sparked from. So at first, I approached social media in the way that we're told to approach social media, which is the highlight reel, which is everything's great 24/7 all the time, and that's just not true. I've struggled. I still hustle on a daily basis. I work my tail off, et cetera. What really led me to become more real in my what led me to be more real in my social media posts and create Actor Vlog was, it's actually this secret film that I have coming out. And my buddy told me, he said, dude, this is some of your best work because you're just so authentically you. And people tapped into it, and they couldn't pull their eyes away. We've already run test audiences on the film. I refuse to see anything but a final product because I'm basically in every scene, and it's just me, the realest I've ever been. So I said, and I said, why don't I bring that to my social media platforms and see how it affects people? And the moment I started bringing that, the response has been overwhelming. People have been like, I just got a comment from someone on my YouTube today. They said, you helped me through a dark time. I really love these videos. Someone else said, hey, can you make them longer than 3 minutes? I want to know how to do this. And now it feels like I really have purpose because, I would approach this craft as, I got to get the Oscar and I got to get that and I got to get that. But I don't think that's what it's about, man. I really think the older I get that this is all about helping other people.
So true. And that leads us then to the vlog. And that's a great segue, actually. So let's talk about that because I really enjoy these videos. I subscribe to your YouTube channel and invite our audience to be able to do the same thing for sure. So talk to us about how you came up with the themes that you wanted to discuss, Aaron, on there, and what it's been like for you to kind of go through using your own personal experiences, as we've been talking about here, to be able to inspire other people.
Well, okay, so how I come up with the theme, I just have inspiration. Every week I'm like, I need to talk about something new. I've always wanted to have a YouTube channel. At first I was like, it should be the Aaron Dalla Villa show where it's this, John Oliver news segment with comedy and stuff. And then my friend was like, well, with everything else you have going on, that might be hard to keep up consistently. And he said, these vlogs you've been posting on Instagram a few months back, he says, these actually would serve better on the YouTube platform. And I said, okay, so how can I help people after getting notes on the doc? I said, okay, why don't I just talk about my struggles, and I'll just have certain ideas that pop up every week. And I say, I have to create a vlog about acting. What can we talk about this week? And I've been diving more and more into my personal experiences because if I share my personal experience, there's probably going to be someone who's watching who had that same experience that is going to be able to relate, and we're going to be able to connect on that level. So connection, human connection, especially in this time where we physically are being told to separate it from one another. We have to be using our virtual platforms to connect with people. Otherwise, we will lose touch with that connection. And I think that's what's so desperate in today's society right now is that we need human connection.
And that's one of the things that you've been able to provide, and I think that's one of the cool things about what you're doing here, Aaron. Aaron, so glad we got a chance to talk. Again, everyone, Aaron Dalla Villa has been our guest. We've been talking with him about the journey to doing what he loves, not only in front of the camera, but just in life, in his music, also in his acting, but also in what he's been able to share with all of us in a lot of different ways. A lot of great projects, as you mentioned, Aaron, that you have coming up. So we definitely want our audience to know how to stay connected. Where's the best place for them to be able to find you?
Best place to be able to find me, I'm very active on Instagram. You can just follow at Aaron Dalla Villa. I am available on all the platforms. You can look up Aaron Dalla Villa on YouTube. But the best place where I keep my best updates are Instagram. I am on the TikTok and the Twitters and the Facebook. And if they want to see any of my work, they can just Google, and under my IMDb, I have several films that are out right now, several that are coming up. And, hit me up, comment, let's talk, let's connect.
All right. Aaron, again, congratulations to you, man. Really appreciate this time, and looking forward to having you back on the program again.
Same, and I appreciate your time as well, and thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, glad to do it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. Let's make it a great one.